Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 670 for the 25th of December. 25th of December is also Christmas Day for those that are not Orthodox Christians, and also for the secular people that just want to shopping. So, big news, the biggest news on the Christmas Day is that the Russians got a lot of Christmas presents. The first Christmas present actually comes from the Russian forces themselves, their own forces. Over at the Donetsk Front at MARINKA, finally, the Battle of MARINKA seems to be over for now. So the Russian forces have captured MARINKA officially. So according to Rybar, the pro-Russian source reported, this is still not announced by the Russian Defense Ministry just yet. I'm quite sure the Russian Defense Ministry will put out a statement once they can confirm on their side. But this capture has been confirmed because of geolocations over at these two locations. So there is fighting reported over at this location. There's a trench line. There's an entrenchment around here. The video footage show the Russian forces storming it, and effectively should have captured it based on the video footage. And this is actually already outside of MARINKA itself. And the Russian forces are also geolocated. There's a soldier within one of the houses. Actually show the flag to a drone, which means the Russian forces have actually stomped all the way to the very last house of MARINKA in the northern side of MARINKA, and this actually confirms that they have captured the entire of MARINKA. Of course, just across the street there's actually more buildings. Wrong color, actually use the blue one. More buildings, and this buildings over here is actually not part of MARINKA anymore, because for MARINKA it's only up to this street, actually until like this. Let me redraw. Yeah, only this side is MARINKA. The other side is actually Georgievka or Georgievka. So which is why for the Russian forces this is actually considered a capture of MARINKA already. So this battle of MARINKA actually lasted more than just almost 2 years. The fighting in MARINKA actually has been going on for 9 years since the start of the Ukrainian Civil War. And this is actually the front line, which is also why MARINKA is such a hard place to conquer. The Russian forces started out, I think, around this area here, and they push and push, and this push took almost 2 years. Because this is actually the front line, and this is actually where the Ukrainians entrenched themselves very, very well. I remember in the early days we are reporting that the Russians captured this hill over here, where they planted the flag all the way at the top. So you can see how far this distance took. It took, like, this 5 kilometers took around almost 2 years. So that's kind of ridiculous. So this is definitely not the end of the chapter for MARINKA, because of course the Ukrainians will be doing counterattack or doing whatever they need to push back the Russian forces, or keep the fighting around the MARINKA region. So this is actually definitely not the end of the fighting in the MARINKA region. So the Ukrainian forces currently is in the Georgievka or Georgievka region. This is where the next line of defense is, and definitely this is also going to be a very, very difficult fight in this area here, because this entire chain is all very, very militarized. So that I don't expect any civilians to be living in these areas. So we're going to see continued MARINKA like fighting all the way through Georgievka to Maximilianivka. Oh my freaking god, I know English is called Maximilian, and it's called Maximilianivka. So before they actually gonna hit something that is less fortified. So this is the big news over in the Ukraine on the pro-Russian side. And there's another one, but I will cover the rest of the Donetsk Front first before we jump over there. So further south, the Russian forces continue their offensive against Novo-Mikhailivka, with fighting reported from the north. They are still trying to push down towards the northern flank of Novo-Mikhailivka. Fighting is currently over in the southern part, particularly over at this area here in the industrial zone. There are several geolocation of bombardments. This is by thermobaric missiles. This is actually by airstrikes. This is also by airstrikes. So the Russians are hitting the Ukrainian forces in multiple locations, which the intensity of the bombardment shows the Russians are really very desperate or very interested to capture Novo-Mikhailivka at with haste. So we're gonna see fierce fighting for Novo-Mikhailivka over the next few weeks for sure. And there is nothing else on the rest of the Donetsk fronts. So this is there's another one. There's another geolocation. This is an attack by the Lancet suicide drone. This is part of the many Lancet that is that was geolocated over in today's report. And this all presents, Christmas Day presents from the Russians to the Ukrainians. So very not appreciated. This kind of present is really no good. So another of the biggest news actually came not too long ago. There is a massive explosion over at Feodosia. So for Feodosia is actually this port or this city over here in Crimea. And that at this Feodosia, there's one massive explosion. For those that want to look at the explosion, you can actually go to the DPA's Telegram channel. I actually do show. I did share the videos over at the DPA's Telegram channel. You can go and check it out. And there is no clear indication what exploded in the beginning. It looks like some kind of a supply dam or something. So in the latest Ukrainian Air Force report, so it's the Ukrainian Air Force reported. So they usually have this icon showing that what kind of stuff that is shot down. Usually it's aircraft and drones. This time around, or missiles. Today they put a ship. They put an entire ship on it. So basically they say that they attacked a large landing ship of the Black Sea Fleet called the Novosibirsk in the Feodosia region with cruise missile, which means that this is likely to be a Storm Shadow attack, and they managed to penetrate through the air defense systems. Wrong color. Penetrate through the air defense system and bombard and hit the target. And this landing ship tank apparently is carrying ammunition or something. So it caused a massive secondary explosion. That is really impressive. A very big explosion. So one massive Christmas present from the Ukrainians to the Russian side. So the Russians are receiving a lot of presents today. So it probably overshadowed a little bit of the so-called celebration of the capture of Marinka, in my opinion. So that's all from this Crimea. And since we are already in the southern front, we move into the Krinky region. At the Krinky region, there is still fighting being reported over at Krinky, with the Ukrainian Defense Ministry continue to say that the Russians carry out 12 different attacks against Krinky, or at least in the beachhead. They didn't mention Krinky by name. And there is some geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting hit. These two is actually ships, the boats, not ships, boats that getting attacked by Russian drones. So this is both geolocated by military summary, and there's further geolocations, Lancets, geolocated by Crimea Caprice of all this Christmas present is very unappreciated. The Russians sent it to them, very badly received by the Ukrainians. So they are very not happy with such presents. So anyway, this is the Kherson Front, and that's all from the Kherson Front. We move into the Zaporizhzhia Front. So this is Zaporizhzhia city. At the Zaporizhzhia Front, there is fighting reported in a few locations. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, there is fighting reported at Kayamsky, over at Kayamsky sector, and also over at Huyaipole, which is this here. So this is actually very random. I'm not sure how to look at it. So Kayamsky and Huyaipole. I think this is probably probing, but we shall continue to monitor and see, because Huyaipole have already seen reports in the previous SITREP that there is some fighting around here in the southern part of Huyaipole. So we shall continue to monitor. Kayamsky one is a bit weird. So over the Orikhiv sector, this is Orikhiv. the Russian forces continue their counteroffensive with fighting reported towards Robotine and in the west of Vrabove. The fighting in the northwest is not reported. This is not reported over here. So the fighting mainly is still in this area here. Some geolocation helps us, like for this one along the road here, this is actually a Ukrainian attack against a Russian entrenchment. So this helps us to establish that the front line is around here. And there is other geolocation like this one was some bombings on Ukrainian position. And that somehow over in the southern part of Robotine, there's this heavy entrenchment around here that was previously reportedly captured by the Russians. Somehow the last geolocation by military summary shows that there is a Russian drone attacking Ukrainian positions, which means that the Ukrainians have actually counterattacked at some time and managed to recapture this area here. Or it could be a case where this is actually a late video coming from maybe a month or two ago. I'm not exactly sure because sometimes it's a bit hard to tell from video footages, which is why video footage coming out from the war zones, always take it with a pinch of salt, because sometimes we do not know the true metadata about all these things. But it's just, you know, indicative of the where at least the front line is. At least that's the bare minimum that we can expect from it. Over at this Velika Novosylka sector, this Velika Novosylka, the Russians continue their attack on the Staromayorsky. This fighting continued to be reported in this area here, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, is a continuation of the previous reported fighting in this area here. Ukrainian forces is geolocated to hit by drones over just off southwest of Makarivka, as another one over in the northwestern part of Prione. There's one that the Prione is attacked by thermobaric missiles. So this a bit getting a bit hot again. I'm not sure if the Russians will actually make this push and also, you know, go directly for Makarivka, because if they go direct for Makarivka, Staromayorsky will just, you know, fall on its own, because the Ukrainian forces cannot afford to be you know, encircled. So let's see how this goes. We move on away from the Zaporizhzhia Front. So we completed Zaporizhzhia Front. We move into the Avdiivka Front. So the Avdiivka Front, the Russian forces continue their Avdiivka offensive. Information here is only reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, with fighting reported in the eastern part of Novobakhmutivka, Stepove, in the south of Avdiivka, and over at Pervomaisky and Nevelsky. This is the only reports coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Some geolocation of Ukrainian forces on the southern part of Donetsk shows that the Ukrainian forces continue to hold a position around where we have marked the front line. So this is actually pretty accurate for us. So that's good. So that's all from the Avdiivka Front. There's at the Niu-York Front, there is fighting reported at Sumy. So the Ukrainian forces continue to do some attempts to attack in the Sumy region towards Holivka. So tentatively, we still do not have much details or any additional information about this sector. We move into the Bakhmut Front. This is Bakhmut city. At the Bakhmut Front in the southern flank, we have fighting reported at Klishevka. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, they attacked Ukrainian forces in this area here. We don't have reports of fighting around Andriivka. Interestingly, geolocation of Ukrainian forces just off the lake in the eastern part of Klishevka shows the Ukrainian forces continue to hold a position in this area here, which means the Russians have not actually successfully overrun this area here. So any possible or success is still coming mainly from the north. But even this, we have no geolocation or any evidence of of Russian forces entering Klishevka just yet. The only evidence that we have was the Russian forces pushing in the north. So we shall have to continue to wait and see, you know, how this develops, or whether we can get some corroborative information to help us verify all this information. Over at the southwest of Bakhmut, we have some updates in terms of the front line. The Deep State UA updated their mapping just on the eastern part of Ivaniski towards Bakhmut. The Ukrainian front line actually have turned to be like this. The Ukrainian source actually considered the entire of the Dacha region, which means that over the past few days, the Russian forces have actually fully captured the entire southwestern part of Bakhmut city, in the Dacha region, which is actually the summer houses region, and they are now pushing in towards Ivanivsky. So this push is getting pretty strong. We are looking at around just 1 kilometers away from Ivanivsky itself. The Russians are really close right now to Ivanivsky in this area here. Further in the northern flank of the Bakhmut front, there is some updates as well. Previously, the Deep State UA say that the Russian forces withdrew from the cemetery region. But in their next information, the next report for the 25th of December, they say that the Russian forces is entrenched in the cemetery. This turn of event is so sudden, it makes zero sense to me, because they say that they withdrew on the 23rd, and then on the 25th, they are now entrenched. So maybe on the 24th, there was an attack, but it was not reported. The Russians basically, whatever it is, have counterattacked and captured this cemetery region, which is going to come in very useful. And they also managed to make some push along this tree line, capturing this tree line around here. They are definitely making this push in this direction towards Chasivya. Ukrainian forces was reportedly counterattacking towards Kromove. In this area here, they were trying to counterattack, but I don't think this is going to go very meaningfully for now, at least. The Ukrainian forces should be focusing on the defense for now, and trying to reduce this force. Previously, we have the information from Deep State UA as well of Russian forces gathering over at this racing track. So maybe it is the racing track forces that actually punch into the cemetery and then actually captured this area here. So that could be the case. Further, over at Budanivka, the fighting was still reported at Budanivka region, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Might be referring to this area here, we do not know. So there is no further information other than the previous information of the Russian forces and capturing half a kilometer. They move half a kilometer deep into Budanivka, and that's all we know about this area here. There are some other geolocations over in the eastern part of Chasivya, of Lancet attacking Ukrainian drones. As I mentioned, there is a lot of Christmas presents being sent by the Russians to the Ukrainian side. So they have no idea of the spirit of Christmas. You're supposed to give happy things, not give depressing things. So anyway, moving away from Bakhmut, we into the Siversk Front. So this is Siversk. At the Siversk Front, Russian forces reportedly attacked Veselye as well as below Horivka. So that's all we know about this area here. We move into Kreminna Front. This is Kreminna. At Kreminna Front, the Russian forces attacked within the Serebrenske forestry and within this series of valley or ravines region around Terny and Yampolivka. Ukrainian forces do their own offensive actions around Torske and within the Serebrenske forestry and the north of Horivka, with geolocation of this geolocation I have to talk a bit more on it. So this is the strategic situation around the Kreminna Front. Very usual, nothing very unusual in that sense. The most unusual thing is actually this geolocation on the northern bank of the Siversky Donetsk River. And this geolocation comes with a very weird note. This is geolocated by Crimea Caprice. In the note, they say that there's a location of a women's military unit of the Ukrainian armed forces. So there is Ukrainian troops supposedly located at this area here in Horivka. And for those that think that this is just maybe propaganda, saying that there is so many women troops being sent, there is actually a video footage that came out over in the Krinky region, over in the Kherson Front and the Krinky region. There is no geolocation of that as far as I understand, but it was being mentioned to be a Krinky. There was a Russian drone discovering a injured Ukrainian female soldier, and this time around it is visible that she is, despite a bit blur video, but it's quite visible that it's a female, and she was waving at the drone, trying to get attention to get help. And this is I retweeted this on X, on Twitter, on the DPA's Twitter account. You can go and check it out. It's rather depressing, and I feel that it's very, very no, it affects me it's like in a moral, ethical sense that no, I don't agree that women should be at war, should be fighting in the front line. If the men cannot win the war, then the war is over. As far as that's my position goes, I don't expect the woman to go to war. So unfortunately, that is the reality. So that is what it is. But of course, a lot of ethical and moral issues talking about how if you surrender, then the woman will get enslaved and whatnot. I mean, that is true for the ancient times. In modern days, depend on where you are in the world. Yeah, there is some kind of a controversial issue. I can understand, but anyway, I just don't like to see women fighting in the front line. Yeah. But of course, Israelis are also sending women to the front line. So whatever it is, over the Svatove Front, this is Svatove. At the Svatove Front, there is fighting reported at Novoselivsky. The last time there was fighting around here by an attack by the Ukrainians was on the 16th of December. This time around, they had a Christmas surprise for the Russian forces. So far, there is no further information about this. Information actually comes from the Russian Defense Ministry. So we move on over to the Kupyansk Front. So this is Kupyansk city. At the Kupyansk Front, again, no more action being reported on the eastern side of the front. We only see fighting reported at Sinkivka, with both sides claiming that they are the one defending. So that's all for the fighting over at Kupyansk Front. We have nothing over at the Kharkiv Front, and this is it. So this is the summary for the day of 670 for the 25th of December, which is Christmas Day. Today is Boxing Day. Hope you box each other well, and anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and see you guys in the next update.